Before I actually get started with this, I have to give a huge shout out to Harvey over at Your World because he has been banging the drum on Jerrod Carmichael for quite some time now, especially in recent weeks with some of the stunts and stuff that Jerrod Carmichael has been saying. And it's just getting more bizarre and more weird as the days go on. But this most recent one that just came out is probably the most bizarre. So Jerrod Carmichael, probably one of the most unfunny quote unquote comedians that's walking around right now that they're constantly trying to shove in our face for whatever reason, made this revelation where so basically what happened is he has a comedy special of some sort. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know who gave him the special. Someone who was desperate to have a black face out there. But he has this special where he admitted, or he joked, quote unquote, about having a sex addiction, and basically talking about race play fantasies. Now, we all know and have heard the term race play before. It's basically where you have a black person and most likely a white person where they play up this thing of, another term of it is slave play, where you'll have the black person be the slave and of course the white person be the slave master, which I thought was very ironic considering his partner, I don't know if he's still with this person or not, is a white man. So that lets me know that that's probably what they are into in their relationship or whatever the case may be. But it's still a very weird thing, and he actually admitted that and claimed that, in a joking manner. But like a lot of times when people tell these jokes, a lot of these jokes actually are true, but they'll tell them in a funny way. And it's like, I wonder if it is or if it isn't. But with him, I can honestly believe that it most likely really goes down like that with him. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to read this article coming from Vibe that was posted on April 8th, 2024. And the title reads, Jerrod Carmichael talks sex addiction, jokes of disturbing quote unquote race play fantasy. And in the subheading, it says, sex offers me power and control. It's an escape. I use it to escape. That is a direct quote from him. Jerrod Carmichael revealed he's into race play. During Friday or April 5th episode of the Jerrod Carmichael reality show, who the hell gave him a show? Jerrod explored his relationship with sex. Viewers followed Jerrod as he attempts to find a therapist to unpack his issues after admitting to cheating on his long-distance boyfriend, Mike. The comedian expressed that he is addicted to intercourse and often uses sex to escape the world around him. This his way again. This is their way of trying to get him to be back to engulf him around us. Because remember, Jerrod Carmichael had a show on NBC a few years ago. It was him, Loretta Devine. I know David Allen Greer was on there, and I think Lil Rel Howery was in there as well. And there was another woman in there as well. All the supporting cast around him were funny and entertaining to watch. However, how is it the person who is the so-called star of the show, who the show is named after, is the most blandest, driest, unseasoned part of the entire show? If you don't believe me, just go back and look at just one episode and watch who is the more funnier of them, and I guarantee you it's not going to be him. I remember when he hosted I think it was the Golden Globes one year, and I was like, I thought that was very odd that they picked Jerrod Carmichael out of all people to host the Golden Globes, considering not a lot of people would know who he is. And I said, okay, let me check this out and see how he does. And when I tell you, he probably made the people in there want to take a long ass nap with his opening monologue. It was so unfunny, and so watching paint dry would have been more entertaining than that. If you don't believe me, just go back and watch his opening monologue for the Golden Globes. I promise you probably won't even be able to get to the whole thing. And the monologues for them usually last no longer than like 7 minutes. If you can't even get through 7 minutes of an opening monologue for an award show, you should not be hosting a damn thing. But that's how dry it was. And I'm like, I saw it then, that they're trying to bring him back out into the world because he's been so, I guess you can say, in the background for a while. Because after his show got canceled, the Jerrod Carmichael show got canceled, he just kind of like disappeared. and then he just reemerged out of nowhere. And now they're trying to keep him back out there. If you don't believe me, just watch the videos that Harvey has done on him in the last couple of weeks. In a particular instance, Carmichael can be seen discussing sex during an apparent stand-up show. He offers a moment of vulnerability to the audience, detailing his sexual fantasies, one of them being race play. If you don't know, Urban Dictionary defines race play as an avant-garde form of role play used by two consenting adults that incorporates racist, hurtful, and derogatory terms and comments regarding the other's race to fulfill and reach sexual pleasure. Sometimes I joke to him that our relationship is like that of a slave and a master's son who teaches me how to read by candlelight, the comedian quote-unquote tells an apparent disapproving crowd in the documentary. Yet he groans too because he's a good person. He doesn't like the effing joke. I like that joke. That's my burden. I think that ish is hilarious. Yes, sir. Marie Antoinette, sir. I don't know what that is. That's a joke for me. So even based on what he's saying right here, it sounds like his own partner doesn't even like the fact that Jerrod Carmichael wants to engage in this race play or this slave play in the same vein that he does. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of the people that engage in that, I find that a lot of the black people who are in a relationship are the ones that really engage more with that than that of their white partner. I've noticed that. That is some mental enslavement right there. I always tell you, mental enslavement is always going to be worse than the physical, because you can heal from the physical, but that mental one is going to get you. No wonder he likes to be the type of guys that he goes for, typically from what I'm seeing, tends to be PC men. But I even saw one thing that came up when I was trying to find a picture for this video, was apparently years ago he had told what's his name? I forgot the rapper's name. Tyler, the Creator. I had to pause it right quick just to go look it up. Apparently he said he had a crush on him or something like that. Like I said, Jerrod Carmichael is just a weirdo in more ways than one. But let me go ahead and get back into this. The episode also features bits of conversation with his therapist. It was during this conversation that the comedian admitted that he became sexually active at a very young age. Jerrod also detailed how comedy impacts his relationship with sex and his sexuality. He alleged that he has had at least 1,000 sexual partners, but that may be quote-unquote low-balling it. I was a very sexual child since probably I was about 3 or 4 with older kids. Whoa. Now, see, that part right there is very alarming. He said he was sexually active since he was 3 or 4. Most kids at that age don't even know how to spell the word sex, let alone know what the hell a sexual active is. And he says since he was 3 or 4, and that he may have had at least 1,000 sexual partners, and he typically likes people who are older. Yeah, this actually goes beyond the realm of him just being weird. This guy just needs some help. But the thing is, they're going to continue to push him out there onto us. And speaking of, what does the Academy have to say about this? As a matter of fact, when I was looking through the threads on X, people was talking about, where's the Love is Love crowd at? That's a good question. I'm going to ask it too. Where is the quote unquote Love is Love crowd? And we know who the Love is Love crowd is. He goes on to say, I definitely had experiences with boys that I hid in my teenage years into my 20s, beginning secret sex with guys. Sex offers me power and control. It's an escape. I use it to escape. Earlier in his HBO show, Carmichael confronted Tyler, the Creator, which I just told y'all about his crush on him. In the premiere episode, the North Carolina native talked to the musician about how he felt after Tyler rejected his love. Tyler responded to his quote-unquote brother by calling him a stupid bitch. You call me a stupid bitch, Carmichael recalled on camera. Yeah, I did. The Igor rapper responded, I think I just brushed it off. Getting news like that and then avoiding it is a way to avoid change. And that's the entire article right there. Yeah, something is actually very odd about Jerrod Carmichael. Even when I saw him when he had his show, his brand of comedy, if you want to call it that, is not something I would ever pay to go see. I wouldn't even pay in dust to go see it. But like I said, the people that was around him and supporting cast on the show was what made the show actually worthy to watch. If it wasn't for them, I would not have even entertained one episode. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. And I think the Jerrod Carmichael show, if I'm not mistaken, maybe had about at least 3 seasons. But again, it wasn't because of him. It was because of his supporting cast. They were the ones, in my opinion, that carried this show. And then after that show went away, he kind of went away with it, and then they just kind of re-emerged him back into the fold, and now they're putting him back out there because there's so many stuff, or so much stuff that's being put out there now. Like for the article that I just read to y'all, he's saying this stuff in order to quote unquote do the shock value thing to keep his name out there. It's going to be a thing where he's not even going to be known anymore for his so-called comedy, if you want to call it that. He's going to be known for his shock jock stuff, sort of like what he's talking about right now. So it can get people talking about him or keep him in the news. But guess what? That's only going to stay around for a little bit. And then what else are you going to talk about? What else can you possibly say before it gets into the realm of, okay, is he telling the truth or is he lying? Is he embellishing, or is there some legitimacy to what he's talking about? That's what I believe is what's going to end up happening with him. But like I said, this guy is very he's like odd. I can't put it any other way. I was going to say interesting, but no, I can't even say that. The guy is very odd. And in my opinion, he doesn't, if he has a therapist, he may need to just stick to seeing this therapist and not, go out and make these revelations like this. If you are, just tell it to your therapist and let that be a conversation, a confidentiality type of thing, and not tell a whole world about it, because we really don't care, honestly, or we really don't want to know because it's none of our business. And now he's trying to invite people in to his business. I'm only bringing this to you because I think this might be the first time, or maybe the second time, I ever spoke about Jerrod Carmichael on my channel ever, because he's not on the radar. Now, I wonder if Harvey's going to do a video about this, because he's been talking about Jerrod Carmichael for a while now. So I'm curious to know if he's going to have anything to say about this, whether or not I get this video before he does, in case he does talk about this story or not. But yeah, Jerrod Carmichael, he's doing whatever he can to try to stay active or have us be engulfed in his life in some way. And one of the more recent things on top of what happened with Jerrod Carmichael, not to segue into something else, is the comments that he made towards Dave Chappelle. Now, if you know Dave Chappelle, he talked about, with Hall T, in which he got a lot of backlash for with that Netflix special a couple years ago, but he stood his ground and he ended up coming out on top. But then you have Jerrod Carmichael, who's now quote unquote trying to slither his way back in, says he called Dave Chappelle an egomaniac and demanded an apology for the quote unquote anti-trans jokes that he made. I'm like, Jerrod, you're late to the party with that one. If you wanted to hop on the train of going after him for that, you should have did that when everyone else did at Netflix back in 2022. You're like 2 years too late. Everybody's over that now. People don't even talk about that no more. So now his idea is, let me go after and attack another black comedian about something that's already been dealt with. They're not going to do anything. It's not like they're going to remove the special from Netflix. And now you want to try to go after him, someone who's actually funny and entertaining to watch and people will actually pay to go see. But see, again, that's another shtick. Let me go ahead and attack another comedian. No, let me attack a comedian, because to insinuate another would mean that Jerrod is a comedian himself and I don't see him as such. So I can keep my name out there. So let me do the controversial thing and let me see if I can start a little beef or whatever the case may be. We are on to you, Jerrod Carmichael. You are not slick. You are not on the low. Well, clearly you're not. But we see you. We know what you're doing. Not even what you're trying to do, what you're doing. And then, of course, he brought up Bill Cosby again, like how Harvey was talking about it then. So, again, he's going after, as you can see, mainly black comedians or black people or black men in particular. This guy has some serious issues, and him being and having these specials and his realities and doing these so-called stand-ups, if you want to call it that, is not helping none. He needs just to fade into the background, fade back into obscurity. That's probably the best thing Jerrod Carmichael can do, is fade back into obscurity and stay there. So I have to give a shout out to Harvey over at Your World, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even known about this update. And like I said, I already knew when I said in the first part of this video, I knew Harvey was going to talk about this topic, because he's been on Jerrod Carmichael's head, well, on his bumper for quite some time now. And I said he was probably going to get his commentary up before mine, but I'm glad that he actually did, because this update came through. And I actually am still in the middle of listening to his commentary, but I had to come and insert this right quick into this video. So as of today, on April 16th, as you can see right here, and this is coming from Rolling Stone, it says Jerrod Carmichael is sorry for criticizing Dave Chappelle for the trans jokes to the press. He also said he's apologizing for those race play comments that he made during his stand-up. Let me tell you something right now. He can keep his sorry ass apology, because I don't take him or his so-called apology seriously. The reason why he's doing this, or he's backpedaling now, is because black people, for the most part, or probably people in general, but I'm guessing mainly black people, got on him about what he said and how disrespectful it was and how out of pocket he was. Again, like Harvey says all the time on his channel, this guy Jerrod Carmichael is an opportunist. He's looking for any kind of come up that he can possibly get, and by him saying things that for him would be deemed as controversial is his way of feeling like I'm coming up, or I'm getting an audience, or the audience that I've always wanted. Just pay attention to what I said in the first part of this video before the update came down. This dude right here has a very, in my opinion, short shelf life in Hollywood. Many people already don't know who he is anyway. Like I said, just go back and look at how cringe his monologue was at the Golden Globes that year that he hosted. And which, by the way, this picture on your screen is from him when he hosted the Golden Globes last year. It's so cringe. It really is. They might as well have just not gone without having a host that year. I'm just saying, if this is who they was going to pull out of the hat. But I'm not going to go into reading the apology or whatever he gives, because I know it's a bunch of BS. All I'm going to say is, black people, it looks, we got them. But the thing is, don't take your eye off of him. See, Jerrod Carmichael is now officially on the radar. If he wasn't already before, he's definitely on there now. And he'll slip up again, or he'll say something else that he deems as controversial, and then he's going to be back in the news again, because that's all he really has at this point. This guy thinks he's a shock jock. Well, to Jerrod, nothing you say is shocking, because it's probably already been said before. So you're going to have to find a new angle. If he was actually, I don't know, funny and actually had some talent in the comedic lane, he wouldn't even have to do this. That's why he's doing this stuff right now. But think about it. He shouldn't have even made a joke, quote unquote, as he says, about race play in the first place, considering where our ancestors had to endure for 400 plus years. And that wasn't even play. That was real. That was real life. That was their reality for all those years. And for him to actually make a quote unquote joke of it means he's even more off code than I gave him credit for. But yeah, this is the update. Jerrod Carmichael, he's going to forever be on my shit list.